Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. In this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to work with shapes. What a shape is, like you can define any like object, right? For example, a triangle is also a shape. A rectangle is a shape. This is a square, but this is a rectangle. It's also a shape. This thing is also a shape, right? So you can use custom shapes in QML. Why am I teaching this? Like I hope you remember when I taught rectangles, right? I taught you how to use gradient. Now there are two defined gradients in rectangles, like one is from top to bottom, one is from left to right, using the orientation flag property, right? Now obviously that's very limited, and we want more like controllable gradients. I have never seen anyone use radial gradients properly before, right? It's not really very good looking, but linear gradients with multiple colors and at multiple angles are obviously the trend. So for example, this gradient is nice. It starts from green from bottom left and goes to yellow to the top right. So a good gradient structure, right? Yeah. So anyway, we'll be implementing this one using shapes and QML. So let's get started. Uh, Basic window, basic title. So for that, using shapes, I'll be importing the shapes qqueen.shapes, right? And the first thing will be a shape. We need to provide some width and height. So instead of providing width and height, I'll say angles.fill parent and angles.margins 30. Obviously, instead of like doing two separate things, we can bundle them together. Looks good and good practice. So remove this. Now inside this shape, there has to be something called shape path. This is where you define the actual path of the shape, like how it will be implemented, right? So uh, here, first thing first, there is something called stroke width. So what is a stroke? Whenever I draw something here, right, the width of this line is called a stroke. Like any line is called a stroke. The width of this line is stroke width. For example, if I go here and change the thickness, now my stroke is very thick, right? And if I go here and change the thickness back to very small, now my stroke is small. So that's what a stroke is. So obviously we want the rectangle to be not that wide, so I'll say 3. There is something called stroke color. So the color of this, for example, let's say this is a rectangle, right? The color of the border is actually the color of the stroke, and whatever is inside this, it will be filled, right? Will fill with gradient, but whatever the border color is, that is because of stroke. So stroke color, I'll say, what can we pick? Let's choose this color. Yeah. Excuse me. After that, there are some more properties. So let's see. There is dash pattern, but for now let's go with fill gradient. After that we'll obviously work with other stuff, right? So as you know what a fill gradient is, it will just fill the shape with a gradient, and for gradient I'll be using linear gradient, right? Now if you press F1 here, you will get actually the wrong page for linear gradient. This is not the one which we want. You have to press F1 in fill gradient, and here you have to choose linear gradient. So it has 4 properties: x1, x2, y1 and y2. Now what are these x1, x2, y1 and y2, right? And what are gradient stops? So let me show you what these are. So let's say this is a rectangle, this one. Now you want the gradient from here to here, right? You know by default this is 0, 0, this point. This is width, 0, but this is the x, this is the y. Here y is equal to height, x is equal to width, so this is width, height. This point, x is 0, but y is equal to height. So 0, 0, w 0, wh and 0h, right? So if you want it the gradient to start from here and end here, so you have to set x1, this point will be x1 comma y1, this point will be x2 comma y2. I hope you got my point. If let's say this is a rectangle and you want to start from here and end here, so x1 y1 will be this point, x2 y2 will be this point. If you want it from start from here and end here, this will be x1 y1, this will be x2 y2. I hope that makes sense. So let's give it some x1. I obviously want it to from bottom left because this is where the green color is, from bottom left top right. So x1 will be width, no, it will be the x is 0 because it's bottom left. First let's define what x and y are, right? So I wanted to start from here. Here width is 0, height is h, like y is height, because here y is 0 and it goes up to height. So okay, let's say the rectangle's width is w, height is h. Here it's 0 0, here is wh, here it's 0h, here it's w0, right? So we want x1 y1 to be 0h, x2 y2 to be w0. I hope you got my, like what I was saying. So x1 will be 0, y1 will be h, x2 will be w, y2 will be 0, x2 is w, y2 is 0 here. And now we have to add gradient stop. I hope you remember what gradient stops are. These are basically position and colors. Like obviously we want the first position to be 0, like start from 0, and the color, it will be this color, and another gradient stop which is the ending position, so it's 1.2, and the color is this one. So what actually did I do? I said, hey, we know this point, we know this point, so starting here the color will be green, ending here the color will be yellow. So gradient stop, position is 0, so this position the color is green, gradient stop, position is 1, the color is yellow, right? So yeah, but still we have filled the gradient, but we have not drawn anything, right? So for drawing, actually you have to use something called path. Now there are multiple ways. One is using path line and manually drawing the line. Another is path rectangle. Unknown coordinate path rectangle. Which cute version am I using? Actually it exists. This one. It's in Qt 6.8. So if you're using a lower version of Qt, you won't be able to see this. So obviously I will also show the alternative, but this is very easy. That's why let's choose Qt 6.9. Let's choose this one. And let it configure. Slow PC problems. Yeah, now it's available. Perfect, right? Very simple stuff, just like rectangle, right? So let's give some ID. Audit my shape. I'll say width, my shape dot width, height, my shape dot height, radius 10, and stroke adjustment, my shape dot okay, so let's also give it some ID, my shape path. So this is the stroke adjustment is basically the stroke width, so I'll say my shape dot stroke width. And now let's see. W is not defined. Okay, my bad. Actually, it will be width, and this will be height. Obviously, right? Now it worked perfectly. Also by default, I did not say anchors.fill parent here because by default shape path is not a component, right? It actually defines how to draw the lines. So no anchoring is needed here. That's why I did not say anchors.fill parent. Be mindful here. For a rectangle, obviously we need width and height, right? That's why I set the width and height to shape. This thing does not have any width, it does not have any height. This is not a visual component. This is only for drawing these lines. Uh, so this thing is this shape. Whatever lines I draw, that is shape path. So this is not a component. Don't provide width and height for shape path. This is not a component, right? This is not something visual. Don't provide any width and height here. Meaningless. So provide width and height for path rectangle stuff, right? So yeah, I hope you saw the color stuff happen, right? If I change the stroke width to, let's say, 15, let's see now. As you can see, it became decent enough. But if you see this border thing is still like I hope you got my point. And the actual inner rectangle is like not rounded, but the border is rounded. So be mindful of that. A slight problem using path rectangle can be fixed using manual path lines, which I'll be showing. But yeah, this is very easy way of like defining your own gradient, also performant. I'll go through what I did once again. Basic window. Inside that there is a shape where you actually draw stuff. Shape path is usual drawing. It's like a pen, that you use a pen for drawing. So this is the canvas and this is the pen. So uh, this board is the shape. Whatever you draw lines, these are shape path, right? And for the shape path, we actually like whatever figure we draw, we want the gradient to be linear gradient, which we have defined here. You can also add another gradient stop, and in the middle, so I'll say position 0.5 and say the color. Let's choose another color. Let's choose something with 3 colors, right? This one. Let's choose this. Okay. Again for this one. And for the last one. Yeah. Now let's see. As you have seen, like the color changed. The border is looking too bad. Actually, we don't need such large borders. Stroke width of 1 is more than enough. But actually it won't be visible properly because the color is also not very like, it doesn't stand out too much. Now I think it should be visible. Yeah. If you see, let me change the width to 3. Let me first show you this, then I'll show like the problems. If you see the edges are like not very observant. If I have any magnifying glass, let me show you. Oh my god, just a minute. Come on, man. How to escape this? Just a minute. I think I messed up. How to escape anything like this? Just a minute, guys. Windows logo the same. Oh my god. Sorry about that. Sorry guys. Actually the magnifier opened and I could like see stuff. It was totally zoomed in. Yeah. So anyway, whatever. Sorry for that. I hope it's visible, but this is not like very well defined. If you see the edges, it will become a bit whitish. It will be broken, right? uh, I hope you can zoom in. But to fix that, for this shape, there is a property called anti-aliasing. You have to set it to true. Now what this anti-aliasing does is, specify the item anti-aliased or not. What anti-aliasing does is, it will like, let me show you what anti-aliasing means. For example, let's say a line is broken, right? So what it will do is, it will try to smoothen it. So anti-aliasing is a bit more memory or resource or performance costly, because it will try to smoothen it. Let's say one line is very thick, one line is very thin, like very thin line. So what it will try to do is, it will try to even it out. So if I set it to true, you will see some improvement. If you see, this part is improved, but the border part is still a bit messy. To fix that, there is another thing which we will do. By the way, I will also show this in my next video. So you have to add QS. In fact, you can directly use this. What we will do is QML. I think it is Q quick style, my bad. It's Q quick style. I have to include it, I guess. Let me see the rendering if I can. This one. You have to set this one, but there is some where somewhere like property where you set. Just a minute. This, no, not set style. Actually, I forgot. Like I show it in this video, but there is a way of fixing this issue. We have to set the renderer interface to software. I actually forgot where to set it. My bad, guys. Sorry. The names are a bit confusing. I think it's Q quick window. Set graphics API. Yes. This one, I guess. This one, yeah. Thank God. So I'll say QQuick window, set graphics API, QSG. Obviously, to use renderer interface, you have to include it. So I have to include QSG renderer interface. Don't worry, guys. This is a one like way of fixing that issue. And you can choose anything. I'll choose software. I'll also show what all this stuffs are, right? So open VG. This is one way. Like there are many renderers. Like if you know what graphics are, right? So Windows use Direct 3D12 for Windows 11, 3D11 for Windows 10 and stuff. Vulkan is good for Linux. Metal is used for Mac OS. So these increase the rendering, right? Also, if you use software, the Qt Quick renderer will be active. So I have to include Q quick window. Now it should work properly. Let's see. Now if you see, this it become very smooth, right? The rendering is fixed perfectly. So yeah, very confusing stuff, but if you're not like bored, actually this is also needed. Like if you if I don't do this, right, if I remove this, and I'll show you. Sorry about the dogs barking, but yeah, if you do this, you'll see a problem, right? Let me change the color of the window, and let me show you. If you see, there is some whitish part, right, when I increase or decrease it very fast, or there is a black part, right? If you got my word, you will see a black part. Now if I set it back again, not this, if I set it back again and run the application once, and if I do this, you see there is no blackish part, right? It will always center properly. So it's a bit costly, but it's a good way of doing it. So anyway, if I not bored you too much, I'll show the path lines in the next video. Thank you.